We didn't really start a new life in the beginning. We were always waiting to, our family was always thinking to go backwards, to come back here. So we didn't really start to do a big business. We started small just to survive until we come back.
It's 38 years of memories which are present every day. My children and my grandchildren are going to be brought up with the same memories. I will never abandon them. I will never abandon a way of life which guided me through my actual life.
We are here 38 years and we have my hometown closed. It's used by nobody, and the way they are going is going to be another 38 years.
Well, mentally I'm still connected with Varosha'lı, I said, with Varosha. Sometimes at night I dream that I'm getting into the town, roaming around in the roads, visiting places I know. And this is deep down inside me, as I said before. So I have a very strong mental connection with Varosha'lı.
I want to die in August. I think that what is basic in this island today is that nobody believes that there's any hope.
...58 yılından itibaren işte bir tarafta EOKA kurulurken bir tarafta da Türk Mukavemet Teşkilatı dedikleri TMT örgütünün kurulmasıyla Türkler ve Rumlar o İngiliz'in siyasetiyle birlikte ayrışmalar başlamıştır ve Türkler buradan Rumları kovmuştur. Aciz taciz etmiştir, öldürmüştür ve surlar içerisinin dışına çıkmıştır. Başka köylerde Rumlar Türkleri köylerinden kovmuşlardır ve bu çerçevede Türklerin işte toplu halde küçük küçük gettolarda kalması sağlanmıştır.
When I was 16, 17, 18, I was member of EOKA. Also, my whole family. It was a social thing, and because of our education, we thought that Greece was the best in the world, and we wanted Now that we realize that Greece made terrible mistakes.
And it was the time that there were big letters on the tarmac, on the asphalt, for self-government. And I remember I was a kid at that time. I used to like that, self-government. And I grew up with that idea, self-governance of Cyprus, independence for Cyprus.
1950'lerin ortasından sonra, 55'ten sonra önce EOKA, sonra da TMT'nin kurulmasıyla beraber iki taraf, iki toplum terörize edilmeye başlanıyor. Ve bir şekilde iki toplum arasındaki çatışmalar başlıyor. Bu 5-6 yıl sürüyor ve 60'ta Kıbrıs Cumhuriyeti kuruluyor. Bir ortaklık cumhuriyeti ve bu ortaklık cumhuriyeti maalesef belki de iki tarafın da inanmadığından dolayı çok geçmeden 63 yılında yıkılıyor. Kıbrıslı Türkler Cumhuriyet'ten ayrılıyor veya atılıyor. Tamamen tek uluslu, tek toplumlu bir Kıbrıs Cumhuriyeti ile beraber 63'ten 74'e kadar süren bir toplumlar arası çatışma meydana geliyor.
We had some kind of approaches towards ENOSIS, the Union of Cyprus with Greece, but this was something in our, we thought it was normal. Nothing was showing that the two communities were going to be in confrontation. People were living well, they were making good money. Between the two communities, especially in Famagusta, there were no problems. In fact, we didn't have any kind of difficulty to socialize to each other. I come from a family where we were very close to the Turkish Cypriot community. My father came in the Turkish Mahalla when he was 13 years old, so he grew up here. His first language, I think, maybe was Turkish and not Greek, so he had a lot of Turkish Cypriot friends. We used to eat together. Turkish Cypriots were helping my father to clear his products from the port. Half of our customers were Turkish Cypriots. I was speaking a few Turkish at the time. So for me, we really didn't realize what was happening.
My wife's brother was the first who got killed with the Oka. He was a fighter of Eoga, and he was the first to be killed in 1955 at the age of 23.
Maraş'ta ikamet eden çok az sayıda Kıbrıslı Türk vardı. Dediğim gibi bir de ev kapının dükkanları vardı ve babamın da işte aralarında olduğu 5-6 tane Türk kökenli tüccar vardı. Onun haricinde de çok bir Türk varlığı yoktu zaten Maraş'ta. O tarihten itibaren, 58'den itibaren Türkler Sur içine, Sur içindeki Rumlar da Maraş'a olacak şekilde yeni bir yaşam başladı. Sonrasında işte 74'e gelinen sürece kadar bizim burada geçen çocukluğumuz var. Ben 67 doğumluyum. Dolayısıyla 74'te 7 yaşındaydım. Ancak dediğim gibi yani 58'den sonra her ne kadar Kıbrıslı Türkler sur içinde yaşamaya başladılarsa da buraya gelişler gidişler neticede sorun değildi. O nedenle de özellikle işte yaz günlerinde babamız bizi iş çıkışında arabaya koyar. Muhakkak akşam üzeri bir Maraş turu attırırdı. Arabamızla bütün sahil boyunu gittiğimizi çok iyi hatırlıyorum. Hatta böyle işte çocukluk arabanın böyle orta kısmına geçer, iç orta kısmına yolu izler ve dönemin işte Ferrari'leri, Lamborghini'leri, kırmızı, sarı, yeşil renk spor arabalar onları gördüğümde danda dan diye bir ses çıkardığımı hatırlarım. Hatta ben onu gözden kaçırdığımda işte ya annem ya babam Serdar bak karşıdan işte bir tane dandadan geliyor diye beni uyarırlardı.
It was my beautiful teenage years. It was a different time in life. I think it's very difficult for the new generation to understand this. Famagusta more cosmopolite because lots of travelers came, the new hotels were being built, and together with this sort of business that used to come up.
It was at the time Varosha was moving, was expanding. It was a very industrial and touristic area. I have good memories of my life until the age of 15 where we had the Turkish invasion. It was a very, let's say, quiet period of my life. Nobody thought that something was happening.
20 Temmuz'da asker adaya çıkıyor. 21-22 Temmuz'a kadar sınırlı kalıyor olay. Ondan sonra görüşmeler başlıyor. İki toplum anlaşamadığı için de tekrardan veya garantör ülkeler anlaşamadığından 14 Ağustos'da ikinci harekat başlıyor. 15 Ağustos'da Türk askeri Mausa'ya geliyor. Biz bunları tabii surların üzerinden görüyoruz. Çünkü savaş biterkenden sur dışına çıkmamız yasaktı. Surların içinde kalıyorduk bu savaş döneminde. Genelde surların üzerinden Maraş'ın bu boşalmasını veya askerin oradaki varlığını hissedebiliyorduk.
Few days later, when we had the invasion, I remember in the early morning seeing the parachutists falling from the Turkish aircraft. I was realizing that a potential danger had become a reality.
In August, so yeah, when the Turkish invasion started, it was a shock, and most of the Famagustians went to protect Lefkoşa and Lefkoşa airport. So Famagusta was left without any kind of defense. The Turkish planes were bombing continuously.
On the evening of the 13th of August, people had warned my father that the Turkish Air Force would be bombing the hospital of Famagusta. So my father took all the patients and the wards, the surgical wards, and transported everything to a hotel outside in a village.
My wife tried to come from Famagusta. She was arrested 10 kilometers outside of Nicosia because she was a relative of Magarios. My wife belongs to the family of Magarios. So they recognized her and she was arrested.
On Sunday last, I went to Famagusta and I swam. I swam to a rock which in our days we call the Camel Rock. I often swim there even though the Turkish soldier on top of Faliron screams at me and he says, I'm going to shoot you. I said, oh, come on, you're not going to shoot me. I'm swimming. So what can I do? I'm a woman, I'm swimming. Well, shoot me if you want, but I know you won't shoot me.
I think that I didn't react a lot. The only thing I remembered a few years later, and the only thing I'm proud of myself is that at the time they were distributing food, and the only brave thing I've done in my life is this. I never allowed my father to go in a football field, wait like an animal for hours with some nylon bags to get some olives, some rice or some oil. Never. This is the only brave thing I believe I've done in my life. No.
...74'te ikinci harekat olup bittikten sonra işte 16 Ağustos gibi artık Maraş'ın tamamen boşaltılması gündeme geldi ve kaçamayan yaşlılarla hastalar burada toplandı.
My grandmother's sister was trapped in Varosha. She stayed there after the Turkish army took over Varosha. She stayed there. She used to hide in her house. She spent a month and a half until the United Nations found her and took her out.
O dönem Türk askeri Mauso'ya girdiğinde sormuşlar yani bölgeyi iyi tanıyan ve iyi Rumcası olan kimler var diye. Babam demiş ki ben varım. Babam biraz da sanıyorum dürtüsüyle yani insanları tanıyordu. Hani o da beraber giderse bir şekilde yani insanlara kötü bir şey yapılmasını engelleyebilir gibi bir düşünceyle hareket etti diye düşünüyorum hala da. Ve buraya çıkıp gelmişler. Babam şapka ve gözlük takmasına rağmen ve işte sakalları, bıyıkları uzamasına rağmen buradaki o işte tekerlekli iskemledeki kız, ailenin kızı yani buranın sahibi olan ailenin kızı babamı tanımış ve yani onun bacağına sarılmış işte bizim gitmemize izin verme, buradan gitmek istemiyoruz falan diye ve babam bunu anlatırken ağladı evde ve ben yani işte çocuktum, babamı da 13 yaşında kaybettim. Babamı ağlarken hatırladığım tek sahne budur.
So my mother put us in a car and took us to Dikelia. I left my house. I remember I was wearing my bathing suit and we thought we'd go away for a couple of hours. Our house was functioning. We were even thinking of, having lunch and then going. So we left the house. And we never got back to it.
one by one the families were leaving Varosha. They were leaving. I was going up because of the sound of the car, engine of the car starting, and nobody was saying bye-bye or see you or nothing. I was going up and they were turning their heads, and that was it. And we were the last to leave.
Maraş'a gidemedik. Dediler ki burası tellenecek, kapanacak, buraya giriş yasaktır ve Maraş'a bir şekilde o dönemden beridir giremedik biz. Ve Maraş bu şekilde askeri bir bölge olarak kaldı.
Sorumluluk bölgemde, kulağım komutanda, vatan ve millet uğruna seve seve can vermeye hazır.
Varosha is a bigger area. My hometown is what is outside the walls. I'm born. What happened in a part of the town, including the center and the hotels, the biggest, the most rich part. Just, I think, as a bargaining chip. Sometime after August 74, if somebody had the bright idea to take a barbed wire and cut. There's no other logic why they done this. So, for Varosha, if you mean the isolated city, I think that somebody had the idea that if we bargain to give them Varosha to start, and then the rest of Varosha part of a comprehensive solution, this will work. But I think that at the time we didn't have any clever politicians, both communities. Or you had some clever politicians in the north who targeted to a no solution. So I cannot say this, I'm not a politician, but I believe that the idea was this. This is the thing, take it. Every time we say, as Famagustians, yes, they accuse us that, you want to get your property back because it's big and you only care about your big property. It's not like this. You cannot buy everything in life. And we have to understand this. It's not only money.
My home and land as a bargaining chip, it's part of their dirty game. And I think politicians should be honest with each other. And Turks and Greeks have a long past in history. We've been mortal enemies since year 14,053, right? So my land is a bargaining chip. Is your land a bargaining chip in Istanbul? So why should my land be a bargaining chip? It's my land. And I think people in the rest of Europe don't understand this. Maybe the old generation does because of what happened between France and Germany and what happened between Germany and the Eastern countries. But today, they don't seem to realize. And that is part of our problem, is to make people understand, not sentimentally, but through human rights. I don't think what is given to Cyprus
Well, my spirit and my heart is still there. And more so the last 4 or 5 years. My wife says that I so much want to go back to Varosha that I tend to forget how to move within Nicosia. I forget the roads of Nicosia. I have been living here for 50 years. It's so much my wish, my will to go back.
And for a long time, I was really sure that we were going to go back because we never said goodbye. But I was really convinced that this would happen. We have to say goodbye one day, so I thought it's a sign. Nobody said goodbye, so we're going to go back.
My family was always hoping. I want to tell you, every year in the big holidays, my father would also drink and say, let's hope next year we go to Famagusta, we go to Marash, and we celebrate in Marash. Every year. And then he died, and nothing happened. Same my mother. Always my mother spoke about the jasmine outside her veranda. You know jasmine? She never went back to smell her jasmine, she died. Boy Scout, and we used to go there to meet the Boy Scouts. And there were, the Turkish lycée was here, and there were boys from the Turkish lycée that they were fanatic against us, because in the lycée they teach them the same things that they teach us in our high school, that they are no good, we are no good. Finished. Here's the Savoy Hotel. We used to celebrate Christmas, we had dancing. This was the houses of the British officials. This was the house of the district officer. This was my elementary school here. It's called now Küçük Elementary School.
So this is Varosha. It's a very big area compared to the closed area. This was my town. It still is a bigger area. I believe that people could live happily without having to split. They can share.
And here there's Santa Caterina church, but it's closed. You cannot go to this church. Everything has memories for me. My father was a high school teacher, mathematics, and he was direct principal of the high school and was his principal here, his school of my father.
Because where is your home?
In that, my father's house is there, but okay.
We had orange groves, and we knew, and we made very good oranges. I remember my orange grove and I want to cry. When I smell the orange trees blossoming, I remember my orange grove and I miss it. Now there's nothing. They let it dry. Nobody watered it.
Oh, in a daily way. First of all, there are famagustas everywhere in my house. If you visit my house, there are photographs of our past life, of our cultural heritage there. Famagusta, to my family, is definitely not a forgotten city. And I wish that it would be like that in every family. And you see the color of the sand?
Yes.
It's beautiful. I don't think there's anywhere in Cyprus the quality of the sea.
Well, this used to be the hub of the beach.
Yeah.
It's called
This was a restaurant here.
This is Salaminia.
So freeze that a minute and I'll show you where my house is.
The first time I went to that beach you showed us, I went to the barbed wire by myself. It was a late afternoon. There was a feast outside the hotel, the nearby hotel. And I said to my wife, I'll walk alone till the end of the barbed wire. There was a lady there, a settler, probably the way she used to dress with her kid, and nobody else. So I went to the barbed wire. I looked at the skyline, and I couldn't help it. I burst into crying. I mean, that's where I spent, as I said before, most of the time of my childhood as a teenager. I had a lot of memories. I badly want to go back to Famagusta.
This is St. John. There used to be a little church and they built that afterwards. I was christened here, not in this one, in the little one.
The hotels.
Yeah. So this is a stadium, right? Right here. And you go around like this. Salaminia. Kiras bloklar. Kiras. And you see, these stayed. They were building, and I mean, they stayed there since then.
Well, it was in full swing.
Yeah, it was in full swing. Yeah.
Mausa artık bir çıkmaz sokaktır. Yani Mausa'nın yarısı kapalıdır, tellidir, geçilmez. Maraş'ı bilenler, Mausa'yı bir bütün olarak bilenler, kentin bir yarısının hayalet şehir olmasından dolayı mutsuzluk içindedirler. Yani sürekli kalkıyorsun ve bir kısmını şehrinin telli olarak, tellerin arkasında hayalet şekle, kadavra haline dönmüş olarak her gün izliyorsun.
Bizim hayatımıza çok olumsuz yansımaları olan bir olaydır Maraş olayı. Bana göre bölge halkına yapılabilecek en büyük hakaretlerden biridir Maraş'ı bu şekilde tutmak. Ceset diye tabir ediyorum. Bu cesetle biz kucak kucağa, iç içe yaşamak zorunda bırakıldık. Ben bugün 45 yaşındayım ve yaklaşık işte 3 yaşında bir kızım var. Ve ben şunu söylerim, ben Maraş'ta yaşadığım renkli çocukluğu bugün kendi çocuğuma yaşatamıyorum Mausa bölgesinde. Düşünün siz, ben çocukluğumu 38 yıl evvel yaşadım Maraş'ta. Ve bugün 38 yıl sonra Mausa gerek Akdeniz'in, yani bir numaralı işte sayfiye yerlerinden biriyken, Kıbrıs'ın da en zengin kentiyken, en renkli kentiyken, bugün en büyük köyü konumuna getirilmiştir. Ve bu köy içerisinde sosyal yaşam, kültürel yaşam o kadar sönüktür ki bizim çocuklarımıza verecek bir şeyimiz yoktur. Yani bir anne baba için bana göre bundan daha kötü bir şey olamaz.
Of course, most people in Cyprus were foreignosis. And you know, it is very difficult if you are young to be a loner. If you don't belong to the masses, your life is not very easy. On balance, I believe that EOGA was not successful because EOGA fought for enosis. We never achieved enosis. And if you look at the checkpoint there, we have Taksim.
Separated Cyprus, yes. For me, it's a disaster. And it's a bigger disaster because I cannot even come and buy a piece of land here. An English guy can come, he can buy. A Turkish guy can come and buy. A French guy, everybody can come and live in my country. I have to come here as a tourist and have a visa. It's not helping. I'm honest with you. It's not helping people to understand why they have to do this. Why we have to have an insurance, a double insurance. It applies to the two communities, of course. And why we are not allowed to come and apply for a TRNC ID? Why? If we are equal, we have to have equal rights. I don't have a problem in getting a TRNC ID. And I don't have a problem to stay and have a Turkish Cypriot mayor. Okay, but I want to die here. I don't want to come as a tourist because it's hurting a lot. My kids are growing up. They don't want to come anymore because it's not an easy thing. Pack, come, stop, show IDs, somebody's checking your car. What are you bringing? On the way back, the Brits are checking my car. If somebody gives me something, they have the right to open it. It's not something which is helping two communities to come together. In fact, it's happening to a Turkish Cypriot. So we have to think why we are so stupid. We allow somebody in our country to stop us every time we go for a visit and bring some stuff, you know, to check us like animals, like we are, you know, a third country. We have to think of what's happening to us. We have to think why. But some people are benefiting from this. Insurance company, phone companies, we have to have 2 phones. A lot of things are benefiting from the status quo.
Biz diyoruz ki gelin küçük bir adımla işe başlayalım. Maraş'ta küçük pilot bir uygulama yapalım. Orada yeniden yaşamayı, yeniden yönetimi paylaşmayı, yeniden üretmeyi, yeniden geleceğe bakmayı bir deneyelim birlikte. Eğer burada başarılı olursak bu küçük bir model olsun bizim için ve bu başarımızı bütünlüklü çözüme yayacak şekilde bütün adaya yaymayı deneyelim. Yani Maraş'ta bir federal projeyi uygulamaya geçirir ve başarılı olursak otomatikman Kıbrıs çapındaki bir federal projede de başarılı olabiliriz gibi bir görüşümüz vardır. Ve bu görüşümüz aslında çok eskilere dayanmaktadır. Yani bizim Maraş'ta ilgili olarak bilimsel ve ne bileyim işte metotlu yöntemlerle uğraşmamız ta 96 yıllarına dayanır. Ta o zamanlardan beridir. İşte gerek çalıştaylarla, gerek sempozyumlarla, belediyenin de dahil olduğu, Mausa Belediyesi'nin ya da üniversitenin dahil olduğu bazı projelerle, sonrasında mesela USAID gibi kurumların destek verdiği bazı iki toplumlu çalışma gruplarıyla raporlar üreterek bu konuda çok ciddi çalışmalar yaptık biz. Bunları gerekli kurumların, karar vericilerin önüne de getirdik. Ancak şu ana kadar istediğimiz tepkiyi alamadık. Fakat şu da bir gerçektir ki Mausa bölgesindeki halk gittikçe artan bir oranda Maraş'ın açılması yönünde bizimle birlikte aynı paralelde düşünmeye başladı. Herkes yavaş yavaş kaybettiklerimizin farkına varmaya başladı.
I would leave the politicians think of how this security is going to be offered to the rightful owners of Famagusta. Whether this is going to be under UN, whether they're going to find another solution, I don't care. What I want is to go back and to be sure that at my backyard there's no Turk with a gun. There's no Greek with a gun and there's no Turk with a gun. I want guns out of my life and I want fear out of my life. I will never take my children and my grandchildren to Famagusta if I know that this is going to be an enclosed area with a Turkish army around it. If there's a hope for Famagusta, it's a hope without arms.
Maraş'ın yasal sahiplerine, eski sahiplerine iadesini düşünüyorum. Bunun karşılığında da bizim Mausa limanımız şu anda uluslararası bir nitelikten yoksundur. Çünkü Güney Kıbrıs'taki Kıbrıs Cumhuriyeti adanın yasal cumhuriyeti olarak gözükmekte ve Mausa Limanı'nı da yasa dışı bir liman ilan etmektedir. Nasıl Maraş yasal sahiplerine verilecekse Mausa Limanı da yine eskiden yasal sahiplerinden biri olan Kıbrıslı Türklere yasallık boyutunda tekrardan kazandırılması gerekir diye düşünüyorum.
Ümit ederim Maraş'ın belki yeni eski durumuna gelebilecek bir pozisyona gelir. Yani Maraş'ın verilmesini, sahiplerine verilmesini ve Maraş'ın yeniden dünyayla buluşması, bizimle buluşmasını arzu ediyorum doğrusu, bekliyorum.
I think it's because they wanted to exchange it. There's no other way out. Though I think that now things are changing, it's going to be a nightmare for everybody because it cannot remain like this. And you have to know that, you have to know, and you can check this, a part of the silt of city is inhabited. There are minimum 2,000 people staying in Varosha now. There are areas with electricity, roads, and 3 hotels operating. The houses next to the hotels are okay. It's a vacation area for the military. So in this sense, it can easily be opened. If you check the sewing treatment, the water is touching the fence. It means that it's very close to end the story as well.
38 yıllık bir süre geçmiştir aradan ve bu süre zarfında da iki toplum birbirinden kopuk yaşamaktadır. Yani gittikçe artan bir ayrılık, birbirine güvensizlik, yeni neslin birbirini görmemiş ya da tanımıyor olması gibi bir sorunlarımız vardır. Onun için bana göre yani bu sorunlar ortada dururken ve bu arada iki tarafın işte resmi görüşü ya da resmi tarihi okullarda tamamen kendi söylemlerini çocuklara aktarırken bütünlüklü çözüm yapacağız diye iddialı bir söylem bence çok yani gereksiz bir söylemdir ve aslında samimi de değildir. Yani bu kadar yıldır bana göre Kıbrıs'taki iki toplum aldatılmaktadır bu şekilde denerek.
...500 sene beraber yaşadı. Bu 500 senenin son 50 yılında, 60 yılında kavgalı hale düştü. Yani bütün yaşanılan kesidin sadece çok küçük bir diliminde birbiriyle kavgalı hale düştü. Ben Kıbrıslı Türklerin ve Rumların da doğru yolu bulabileceğine inanıyorum. Çünkü bu ada iki topluma yetecek kadar büyük bir adadır aslında. Ve ikimizi de, iki toplumu da, hatta diğer toplumları, çünkü bu adanın sadece yasal sahipleri Kıbrıslı Türklerle Rumlar değildi, Ermenilerdi, Maronitlerdi, Süryanilerdi. Bütün bu bölge halklarının izleri var burada. Sadece Mausa'da değil, bütün adada izleri vardır. Onun için gene de bu toplumlara ev sahipliği yapacak bir barış adasına dönüşebileceğini düşünüyorum ben Kıbrıs'ın.
We visited a mixed village. It was half Greek, half Turkish. And the Greeks, they left in 1923. And at that time, the Turks, they said, we miss the Greeks. We like their music, we like the way they celebrate. And the same happened last February in İstiklal Caddesi in Istanbul. They celebrated Carnival. The few Greeks that were left in Istanbul, they played music, Greek music, and they were dancing. And the Turks in Istanbul, they liked it very much. We are very similar.
Halklar arasında bir problem yoktur. Yani düşünün 50'li yıllarda bu insanlar birlikte yaşıyordu, iç içe yaşıyordu, karışıktı. Birbirlerine çocuklarını bırakıp bir başka yere gezmeye, eğlenmeye gidebiliyordu. Rum Türk'e, Türk Rum'a bırakabiliyordu. Ama bu en başta söylediğim gibi İngiliz siyasetinin, Amerikan siyasetinin, böl yönet siyasetinin bir ürünüdür. Kıbrıs'ta işte yaşayan insanlar, Rumlar, Türkler ve diğer azınlıklar arasında işte problem varmış gibi. Yok aslında. Bir problem yok. Bizi bıraksınlar. Biz elbette eskiden olduğu gibi iç içe yaşayabiliriz. Yaşayabiliriz.
We are the same people, but the politicians keep telling us, like these policies, that we are opposite, that we are bad people. No, we are the same. I went to Austria and there was a taxi driver with a tie and a jacket. He was Turkish. He said to me, we are the same. It's the politicians who make us fight. We have to change.
And of course, I get to see the sun coming down in the part of Cyprus I live now. When I lived in Famagusta, I used to see the moon coming up from the sea. So I want to go to sleep in my house and wake up and see the moon coming up from the sea.
I think that sometimes freedom is not always a gift. We lost the first love we had among the communities, at least the majority.